Hi, I'm Bill Patrick. The program you're about to see is part of a vintage series called Car and Track, which was originally produced during the first half of the 1970s. Before we begin the show, though, a brief program note. Using as many as 8 cameras to shoot a single event, Car and Track captured some of the great NASCAR competitions of the era, one race at a time. Over the course of some 80 episodes through 6 seasons, series producer and host Bud Lindeman lovingly documented a unique era in American motor racing. While the race action contained in the series remains timeless, the program itself has not dated quite so gracefully. Although the years have not been overly kind to Bud's decidedly low-key introductions and interviews, we believe them to be an integral part of this one-of-a-kind series. So please, stay with us now as Speed Vision presents a rare slice of 1970s Americana, Car and Track.
Hi there. This is that 30-minute period where we put wheels under your armchair and take you where the action is. And on today's show, we found it at Ontario Motor Speedway at Ontario, California. It's the Miller 500, and all the stars of NASCAR were there to run for one of the biggest bundles of money in racing. Our road test car comes from the General Motors Buick division. It's called the Centurion. Now, most of the changes were not visible, but they were for the best. Also, since the rise in popularity of recreational vehicles, we take a look at the StarCraft motorhomes from a luxury as well as a safety viewpoint. We'll be back right after this message. In the past few years, we've tested many of the big luxury cars, and for the most part, have been nonplussed by them. They've been soft, spongy, wallowy in the turns, clearly evident that the engineers were trying to absorb every bump on the road before it ever got to the precious cargo in the passenger's compartment. Buicks always seemed to be the epitome of this rule. But then, along came 1972, and old Softy got some new leg muscles.
This is the Centurion. For our money, the best dollar buy in the whole Buick fleet. If you're already a Buick fan, this one might offer a few surprises. If you're moving up from an intermediate, you'll love the Centurion. If you're a Beetle owner, you'll enjoy anything that gives you a chance to straighten your legs. It all sets on a 124-inch wheelbase and is motated by this 455 cubic inch V8 detuned for 91 octane low lead gasoline, fed through a 4-barrel Rochester carburetor. When our driver wound it up and put his foot in it, she ran up to 30 in 3 seconds flat. We punched it out of the hole a second time, and 5.2 seconds later had 50 miles per hour. We were pretty happy with these times, considering the fact that the Centurion weighed 4,500 pounds. When we punched out for the 60-mile-an-hour go, it stopped the clock in 9.4 seconds. Buicks have good binders, perhaps the best in the industry, and have had for several years. From 30 miles an hour, we stopped in 37 feet. These stops were all made after about 20 minutes on the braking course. They were hot, and from 50 miles an hour, she shut down in 93 feet. Up front, they employ single piston discs. In the rear, vented drums. Brakes dissipated heat rapidly. Pedal fade was at an absolute minimum. All of our stops were made in a good straight line, including this panic stop from 60. It took 204 feet. Our biggest surprise came when we put the Centurion through the pylon course. On past Buicks, 25 miles an hour was our top speed. They used to wallow, strain, scream, and hiss. Finally, after knocking over most of the cones, our driver would park it and get out, a little worse for the wear. However, this model was an all-new ball game. He ran through at 40 miles an hour. Body lean was not excessive, and the recovery was very good. Although we did find that the power steering unit would hesitate and cut out about halfway through the run after fast alternating turns of the wheel. Here's that same run filmed head-on and in slow motion. The overall stability, as you can see, was very good. I don't ever remember being able to corner a Buick at the speeds we did this one. We ran it out on the track at Waterford Hills Raceway. It's a neat, well-maintained track with some very tight turns. At high speed, the front end did display a tendency to push. However, front corner dive did not seem to be excessive, nor did body lean. Like everything else with the Buick nameplate on it, the Centurion featured independent suspension with A-frame upper and lower control arms, coil springs, and ball joints. Even when the front end did wash out, the 455 cubic inch banger up front had enough wallop to power it through the corner. On the interior, it's quite luxurious, and the people space has been improved. From a styling standpoint, it's okay. But those engineers, they burned a lot of midnight oil to make this one the best Buick we've ever tested.
It's a long way from the Carolinas to California, but then there was a lot of money up for grabs. So the boys from NASCAR, the pride of Southern racing, left the high-banked super speedways of home and towed their race cars to Ontario, California. They visited this new $25 million speedway for the first time last year. Well, they drove the only way they knew, in a flat-out, belly-down charge for the checkered flag. And the fans? Well, they spent almost 4 adrenaline-filled hours screaming and cheering for their favorites and went home talking to themselves. And you know, they must have remembered, because when the Rebels returned this year for the Miller 500, they jammed the stands.
If action sold for $1 a pound, you could get rich at this track. And today's running of the Miller 500 looks like a wild one. The finest stock car drivers in the world were assembled here, and the bait they dangled in front of them was a purse worth $208,000. The 51 fastest qualifiers were lined up for the 3 abreast start. A.J. Foyt's speed of 153.217 gave him the quickest time and the pole position in number 21, the Wood Brothers Purolator Mercury. Bobby Allison started alongside in the number 12 Coca-Cola Chevrolet, with Richard Petty on the outside in the number 43 Plymouth. Then it was Buddy Baker, Bobby Isaac, and Red Farmer, with Mark Donahue in the 3rd row. Now the entire field rounds out of the fourth turn and onto the front chute for the green flag. There it is, and they're off. As they enter the second turn, Petty jabs at Plymouth hard and fires past Foyt on the outside to take the early lead. Through the fourth turn, Richard Petty goes a little high, and A.J. screams underneath him on the front chute to take the number 1 spot. Uh-oh, 426 cubic inches just exploded like a hand grenade under the hood of George Fulmer's 72 Dodge Charger, and Don Knoll spins his Ford in the oil slick. On the 38th lap, Doc Faustina, driving for Walter Ballard, loses the steering in his Plymouth, goes through the infield out of control, crashes into the wall, and spins across the track. This brings out another yellow flag, and the pit action is spectacular. Petty, Baker, Foyt, Allison, Donahue, the lead cars were in for tires and fuel and were out in less than 25 seconds. On the restart, it's A.J. Foyt that breaks out into the lead in the Mercury number 21. But Petty and Allison both want the lead, and they cut through the slower cars like a hot knife through butter. Bobby Allison is second, Petty third, Baker fourth. All follow Foyt through turn 2. Watch out. Kevin Terrace in the red number 32 lost it down low, and Tallis in number 23 spun to avoid hitting him. Through the first turn, Petty moves around Herschel McGriff in number 4 in an all-out battle to catch Foyt. On the front chute, Bobby Allison in the Coca-Cola Chevy takes Richard Petty on the inside for the second place spot. Now he gives chase to A.J. The Petty-Allison duel continues as Richard whips back into second through the fourth turn. As the race goes on, cars continue to drop out. This time it's the number 99 Plymouth driven by Don White with a blown head gasket. The Wood brothers call Foyt in for tires and fuel. Buddy Baker wheels his Dodge in for the same reasons. This is flat-out racing rebel style. Every car on the track is after A.J. Foyt, and he knows it. There goes another one. Cecil Gordon put his Mercury on a spinner all the way across the track and crashed into the retaining wall. This puts number 24 out of the race and draws another yellow flag. These boys love to dive in on a caution flag, and pit road becomes a bedlam. It also gives the California race fans a chance to see the fastest pit stops in racing. The Wood brothers have Foyt out in 19 seconds. If he wins this one, much of the thanks can go to that pit crew. Watch it. The Petty Plymouth number 43 is handling badly. He heads back into the pits where they find out the lug nuts were not tight on the right front wheel. This costs Richard a lot of valuable time. Petty comes back on the track in front of Foyt, but AJ still has the lead. Richard is down almost one full lap. Foyt holds the lead. Bobby Allison second, Buddy Baker third, and Petty fourth. Into turn 3, Foyt slips down low and passes Petty's Plymouth to get Richard one full lap down. Both Petty and Allison are handling well and gain on Foyt through the turns. But AJ unleashes that big Mercury and runs away on the straights. Pit stop of Petty's to tighten the right front wheel could have made the difference. He can run with Foyt, but he can't make up the lap it cost him. Allison in number 12 and Baker in 11 are dicing for the second place spot and have been swapping it for the last 20 laps. Here's A.J. Foyt on his last lap as he pounds through the fourth turn and screams down the front chute for the checkered flag, the winner of the Miller 500. The Wood brothers ride the hood of their famous Mercury into another victory lane. It was only about a month ago that this same combination of car, crew, and driver picked up all the marbles at the Daytona 500. This time, the win was worth almost $32,000. When they towed the Mercury back to South Carolina, they left a crowd of 90,000 California race fans eagerly awaiting the return of the Rebels from NASCAR.
Today, there's a great deal of talk about and a surprising trend toward the purchasing of RVs, meaning recreational vehicles. Proof of this popularity is seen on the highways all summer long, and especially on holiday weekends. Well, when you start to count them, the number becomes staggering. It makes one think that the economy of the country is not as bad as we're led to believe, since these motorhomes carry a walloping price tag. Well, in the weeks to come, we're going to feature a few of them right here on the show. Today, it's the Starcraft.
We filmed this 24-foot Star Cruiser in front of a bank. since we felt that a trip there might be necessary before taking the first trip in the motor home. It features a one-piece fiberglass body. The driver's seat is very comfortable. It goes up, down, and swivels. The instrument panel includes all the gauges you need, plus AM, FM stereo. The dining area is up front on the right side. When not eating, the front seat swings forward so you can watch the driver get lost. At night, the whole thing collapses into a double bed. The kitchen area, while not as large as the one at home, perhaps offers almost as many modern conveniences. The bathroom is very compact, but all the components are here. Separate showers are available on the larger models only. The Star Cruiser sleeps 4 more people in the rear. Space is tight, so they should be friendly. We also took the 22-footer out for comparison. If you like to head for the backwoods country, make sure there's no low overhanging branches. They could sweep the top of your RV clean, like the air conditioner and a few other topside goodies. Like the 24-footer, this smaller model also features the one-piece body. Fresh water is taken on here. The air conditioner has a separate radiator. The 110-volt auxiliary generator comes as an option, or cables can be used to reach an outside power source. The interior is much like the larger model, however a little more compact. Kitchen, dining area, sleeping quarters, etc. It might be a good idea to confine the top bunk to children or very thin adults. I think our biggest disappointment in all of the motorhomes that we had were the poor handling characteristics. Parked under the shade of a tree next to a bubbling brook, they make an excellent family campsite. However, the trip to the brook could be a nightmare. They're built on a Dodge truck chassis with a 159-inch wheelbase and powered by a 318 cubic inch V8. But the overall width and height seem to be far greater than what the chassis was designed to carry. This, coupled with an inadequate suspension system, makes their handling ability comparable to a Wells Fargo stagecoach. Dodge has been building strong, safe trucks for a long time. However, when you mount a cottage on the same chassis, you might encounter a few problems.
My old daddy used to say, when you don't have any more to talk about, quit and go home. You know, I think he was right. But I do hope you like the show, at least well enough to stop back next week at this same time. We'll have more racing for you, the biggest events and the hottest cars in the country. Till then, this is Bud Lindeman reminding you to drive carefully. Hey, like your own family was in the other car. And bye-bye.